You said it in a way that even I was like, whoa, that sounds exciting.
Oh no, like I'm just saying it because I am actually really excited.
Okay, I'm very
Oh,
happy
great.
with that.
I think then we can actually start the discussion.
Okay, let's do it.
I am so glad I got to catch you in between surfing the world's largest waves, Nuno. Where in the world are you right now?
I'm from Portugal. I live in Portugal. I'm from a very small village that is located just in front of a small village which is called Nazaré. It's also nearby another village that has a big monastery called Alcobaça. It is located in the center part of Portugal, facing the Atlantic, the North Atlantic, and we do have the what are considered the biggest waves in the world breaking here.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I grew up here, and the big waves there have always been part of my reality. So yeah, that's a big thing for me, the ocean, and as well music, obviously. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So, as you might have heard in the intro, I'm absolutely blown away by your craziness, by your dedication. And actually, since you accepted my invitation a couple of days ago, I've been really looking forward to this podcast
I'm
recording.
excited too. Yeah.
Yeah. So, let's dive directly into it.
Okay.
A violin in the most unlikely places. I'm curious. Tell me more.
Okay. Um, it all started many years ago, actually almost 15 years ago. And I mean, I traveled for a few years. I traveled for several countries in several places. I lived in several places. I studied there, worked there, lived there. And the violin was always my company. I've been a musician since I remember. Um, but actually, my academic background is sports sciences. And I was actually a lecturer for 10 years of sports sciences at a local university. And but before that, yes, I traveled for several years, and the violin was always my company. So I mean, that is the beginning. Without knowing it, was just the beginning. I mean, the violin was always my instrument. Is my fellow, my friend. He always comes with me. And somewhere in time, I traveled some crazy places, and there was once I was working in Ecuador, and I was working in a natural reserve, and the reserve was located in the base of a really big volcano, and one day I just thought for myself, yeah, why not just play the violin up there? And obviously I had to climb it, and obviously just as any other things that I do, they're very physical, they're very challenging, but I do love that because sports sciences is my academic background.
Right.
But the idea started with that, just climbing a volcano and playing on the summit. And I was just so how can I say, so happy, so incredible. It was like I was so amazed with all of that I just kept on doing it, climbing bigger mountains and just playing the violin in the summit. Somewhere in time, I ended up returning to Portugal. And we do not have such big mountains because this is Europe, and even more Portugal. There's no mountains around here, but we have water mountains. And I mean, in my head was like, okay, now get that one. It's not the same, but I had been surfing big waves. I'm not going to say since I was a kid, but I mean, I've been surfing since I was a kid. So I mean, big waves is just an extension of what I was doing. In the beginning, I thought like, oh, okay, let's try it. Let's just give it a try. And I mean, obviously, I had to train myself and to do that over and over again. But I do enjoy that very much. The preparation and using all my knowledge, all my skills, and everything I know about sports and about training. And I do like to put that into practice. And yeah, I just thought to myself, yeah, let's just play the violin in there. And then I got myself a really cheap violin secondhand. And I was like, okay, whatever. If it breaks, it breaks. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? As things went along, as things progressed, I started to discover in this idea, in this concept, in this project, much more than just playing the violin in really wild places.
Mm-hmm.
This was a very I started to learn a lot about myself, and that was the beginning. And what I started to learn is extreme places, whether it's big waves or big mountains, um, they take you away totally of your comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
So you're totally exposed. Whether it's big waves or big mountains or high mountains, you get yourself in situations that sometimes, whether it's fear or fatigue or exhaustion or whatever, it takes you totally away of position and gets you, and that exposes totally who you are, and there's no way to run away from that. I mean, on normal days, on a regular basis, we can kind of like hide our weaknesses and maybe not trust in our strengths. But when things get really rough or very really serious, everything you are comes up, and sometimes that might surprise you, sometimes in a good way, other times in a bad way. But still, what you get from that is knowledge, like self-knowledge. You learn about yourself.
Hmm.
And as I was doing these crazy things, I was like, okay, you know what? There's something valuable about this. I'm actually learning about this, and I'm enjoying the way. And then, you know, the mountains. I wasn't very experienced in mountains back then. I'm not still not very experienced. I'm not an alpinist, a professional alpinist or so, or anything. But at the same time, the first time I was away from the ocean without watching the ocean was this time I was working in Ecuador. That was months in the really inside. I was nearby. That's when I also went to the Amazon. I was really far away from the ocean. I was months without seeing the ocean. And that was the first time in my life that I had that. But I had the mountains, and in some way, the mountains compensated that. And I found that the mountains were like, this is an element. It's not the water. It's not the ocean. But you know, I love it. It's amazing, and it's beautiful. It's powerful. And I was so amazed with the mountains that I kind of like started creating this idea about big waves, big mountains. I even did an album. I'm now a professional musician, though I was a lecturer for many years. But I got about 2 years ago, I got to a stage that I thought for myself, I need more than this. I want more. I want to do different things. So, I mean, I quit my job, and I started to dedicate myself uh, professionally to music. I was already a musician back then, semi-professional. Let's say it. I mean,
Hmm.
I was doing my PhD, and the music was paying for the fees, and the music was always like a second job I had to finance my expeditions, my projects, my things. So I just took music more seriously and took this project more seriously. I mean, in the end, I started learning more about myself. I started overcoming some fears, some limitations I had, um, and you know, it became a life project. That's what I can say. Not only professionally, but also like personally, like even let's put it emotionally, spiritually. And I'm so excited nowadays with this that I do, and I love this so much that, as I said, it has become a life project. And it's just in the end, it's just mixing passions. You know, it's just combining what I love, which is music and sports, whether it's mountains or big waves. I just put it all together. And um and yeah, just the violin. I'm lucky that I can take the violin with myself. If I play the cello
It would
or
have
the
been more
tuba,
tricky.
that would be a little more difficult. So I'm happy I have the violin, which makes it a little more easy in some ways.
Great.
But you know what, it's been like an amazing trip. I would never would imagine this. And I just released a new album recently, about a few weeks ago, and it's called Unlikely. So there's this Portuguese music, which is the fado, which is it's the Portuguese identity, a little bit like the tango in Argentina, or I mean, it's our identity. And the
Hmm.
music, it's quite it's considered world music, in the category of world music. And fado stands for fate. So what's meant to happen, what's it's meant to for you, for your life to for things to happen in your life. And I call it the unlikely fado, which is the unlikely fate. And I would imagine that I would be dedicating myself professionally to playing the violin and surfing big waves,
That's
or
amazing.
or climbing big mountains. I mean, just the idea in the beginning, I was like, Nuno, you gotta gain some sense. It's you're already old enough to know
The story
some
itself is
things.
ridiculous. And as I was saying, like I literally watched the videos last
Yeah.
night for almost 30 minutes because I could not believe it. Like, so you've been, as you said, you've been climbing active volcanoes, you've been to the rainforest, on top of cliffs and mountains and everywhere. But what made you really famous then, and what gave you the bit of, news coverage and all of that one
Mhm.
was surfing the necessary waves, and playing Christmas gems.
That was just, yeah, you know, that was also another one. It's just like I had the GoPro on the violin, and I was just like, yeah, it was actually Christmas Eve. The waves were amazing, were really big, really nice day. And a good friend of mine, it's called Garrett McNamara. He's a very professional big wave surfer. It was like, okay, I want to see that, and he told me into a wave, and I just played Jingle Bells, and I was laughing so hard when I was playing that everything came out so naturally. When I kicked, I was like, this is so fun, and I
Yeah,
was
you
laughing
can
so
see it in
hard.
the video.
Yeah, but then it's just naturally. Then I was like, okay, I want to do this again.
I mean, wow, this is not just playing the violin, it's even, combining it with surfing, and then not just surfing anyway, but like the world's greatest waves.
Yeah,
So it might sound weird if you haven't seen the videos. How's the
yeah.
process? Because you go out with the jet ski.
Yeah. So yeah, when we're surfing big waves, normally this is a place where we surf with teams. It's not the solo mission. It's a very violent place. It's no kidding. It's something we take very seriously,
It's
and
very dangerous. Yeah.
yeah, it's very dangerous. And most of the guys out there are professional surfers. I am not a professional surfer, but I mean the amount of time I put out there makes me almost a professional surfer. I mean,
It's in your
so
DNA.
yeah, it's a little bit my DNA, and it is a passion in the end. And I just love to be out there in the ocean. I just love to surf
Hmm.
big waves, and that's it. And just bring the violin with me. It just in my head, I do understand that for most people it sounds ridiculous, but in my head it just makes all sense because I'm a violinist and I surf big waves. So I was just like, yeah, just play the violin, surfing
Combining all
that
the
thing.
passions.
Yeah, just like just make it all in the and again it's just the whole process itself has brought so much. And I mean, personally speaking, that I got really excited with all the idea. And as I said, I dedicate myself professionally for that now. And what I can say is I actually able to pursue my dreams. I do. I feel that what I do has some meaning, at least for me,
Hmm.
because as a lecturer at the university, I got to a moment that I was like replying emails and just doing boring things, and I wasn't really excited with what I was doing. I wasn't even believing too much in what I was doing. I thought I was just like another one, just filling up reports and sending emails and replying emails and just doing the same boring things all the time. And this was a crazy decision. I was like, okay, I'm gonna stop teaching and I'm gonna start playing the violin in wild places. Let's make a living out of that. And it's not an easy one. It's not a logical decision. That is for sure.
No, that comes
But
from your heart.
yeah, but that's exactly it. It comes from inside, and I truly believe. And I got some things happening, and in the end of the day, it's so crazy. I know that even I think for myself sometimes it's like, okay, this is too crazy. I mean, you should like know better. And but then everything makes sense when things happen. I mean, simple things, really simple things. For example, a few days ago, I was climbing this rock that stands in the middle of the ocean, and I've been looking at that rock for ages. I mean, it's been there since I was born, and probably way before that. And it's a big rock. And I'm recording now the video clip for the new album. And I was like, okay, I'm going to play violin up there, and I'm just going to play it, and whatever. And again, it was a mission. I mean, I am very careful with the people I surround myself with. I really like to have the best around. So I asked my friends from the big waves. They're really skilled jet ski drivers. They're super skilled. I mean, we all need to know how to drive a jet ski like really good, because it's our rescue machine when things get heavy.
You
And
need to trust each other
yeah,
100%. Like
we
you
trust
rely
our
on each
lives to
other.
each
You
other.
cannot.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
that is for sure. I mean, just like any special forces, we do trust each other, and we train a
Hmm.
lot. And so they would drive their jet skis and get me as close to that rock as possible, so I could try to jump and just try to climb. And the sea was rough, so I was like, okay, I need the best. And then I asked some friends of mine which I climb with, and some longtime friends. And I told them, hey guys, you want to go and climb this? They're like, okay, that's wild, let's do it. And and then yeah, another couple of friends just filming, and inland just helping with everything, and with the radio getting ready to call the ambulance if necessary. And it was just wild. And we got there, the waves were pounding, and I was a little worried, because I know that the climbing friends were not very skilled in ocean terms. So I was kind of like, okay, we got to do this safe. Nobody's putting risks. And anyway, in the end, we got to the summit. and it was like, wow, I got there, and I was playing the violin, and on all that stress and all that anxiety and all that just went away. And I was like, yeah, let's just play the violin. And you know the funny thing, the guy that was filming this we were recording for the video clip, and I got so in my twilight zone that then it started raining, like raining wild. Everybody went to cover, and I just stayed there playing. And I was wearing a suit. I even took the suit inside the bag, like a dry bag. I just climbed the whole thing with the dry bag on my back. And when I got up, I put myself like a proper suit and just playing for the video. I forgot the song. I mean, I was supposed to be there playing a song, so in the video it's the same song that
Uh-huh.
I'm playing. I was
What do
there
you
playing
think?
for 1 hour, just raining cats and dogs and just like playing. And I was like, this is like, it was my violin, and I was like, the weather is not good, but who cares? Let's just play it. And I had such a and the rain. This is gonna sound a little crazy, but the wind was blowing on my back, and the rain would just pass around me, and it was a mix of like really heavy rain with sometimes clean skies, with which the sun would hit the rain and do these little rainbows and these shiny particles of rain. And I was seeing that, I was like, am I into drugs or what's going on here? This is too wild. But it was beautiful, and it just made all sense, and these little episodes, and I just I really like this, and I really like the idea of the challenge of getting somewhere to play the violin and really playing the violin. Um, and that was it's just quitting a job. It's not easy. I have a small daughter, so I mean, quitting a job and quitting a fixed like an income every month to go and climb big mountains and surf big waves with the violin. It's not a very logical thing in most people's minds. Um, Even I admit that sometimes I would get a little like, okay, what's happening here? But you know what? It's coming to pieces, and it's coming, and little by little, I am accomplishing my dreams. And I mean, it's not all nice. I mean, some challenges still come, and sometimes, for example, right now with this pandemic of the coronavirus. I mean, this is really bad for me as a musician. I mean,
Hmm.
everything was canceled. All of my concerts, and I just released a new album. All of my concerts, my gigs, my events, everything was canceled, and I'm without work for at least 4 months, which is a bummer. But at the same time, I love this so much what I do that in my head I just came up with a challenge with another one. So I was planning to go to Pakistan in June and July with a group of friends to climb a really big mountain in the Karakoram range, and it's not going to happen. I mean, no flights, no traveling, no
Hmm.
nothing. So I just started thinking, and for many years, there's this road in Portugal, which is the longest road of the country, that goes from north to south. It's a really long road, and I always wanted to do that by bicycle. And I was like, okay, why don't you just do, like, you're not going to Pakistan? That's fine. You do it in Portugal. You're fine. You take the bicycle. You don't need money for that. I mean, you don't need. I mean, I just take my bicycle, and in the beginning was just to do that road, like top to bottom, like north to south the road. But then I thought, just screw it, just do the whole tour, just go around the country, just take a few more days. But and even more, all the public transports now are a problem because all of this situation. So I mean, yeah, I was a little like, okay, just do an exploration inside Portugal. So that's what I'm gonna do next Monday. I'm gonna start this journey. It's gonna be 1,600 kilometers, and will take me nearly a
Wow.
month to do. But I will promote my new album and playing different songs along the country. Just the idea, just traveling and getting there and just playing a song, and that is the idea. And trying to make the most out of what difficult times are,
Hmm.
and still continuing with my project. And just in this case, it's not climbing or surfing, but the bicycle will do it, will do. And
For sure. You will find the new unlikely places, you just
yes,
keep
yes, yes,
pushing
yeah,
yourself. And
yeah, that
actually,
is,
it's funny that you're saying it because I did see these pictures and videos of you standing on this rock in the middle of the ocean.
yeah,
And I
that's,
had no idea that you actually climbed it. Like in my
yeah.
imagination, I was like, oh yeah, helicopter got down, went on
No,
there,
no, no.
started playing the violin. This is a
Yeah,
complete different perspective for me, even now
yeah,
after I saw that one.
yeah. That's exactly the idea. It's always like getting there and the challenge of getting there. And yeah, everybody's like, whoa, nobody has ever climbed that thing, even less playing the violin up there. So yeah, that was exciting. And it felt, even if it was just for a few hours, it felt we were exploring something, like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, we're this is adventure, this is what I love, and I'm just doing it just a few miles down the road, like in front of, almost nearby my house, and I'm doing this is amazing. Sometimes you don't need to go to the end of the world to explore and to have some adventure sometimes. And that's what comes. It's if because I love this so much, and this is so much part of me right now, that I always get a way to find a solution to do what things that I do. And even if there's no money, you just do it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find a way. Because if you really love what you do, you'll find a way.
The success will come naturally.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can call it success. I mean, the sense of accomplishment, you're doing the things you want. And just little by little, I started thinking about this bicycle idea, just traveling with my violin, and just played my new album. And suddenly I sent some emails to, like, to get some support and some help from some people along the way. And just a lot of people are coming together and just, okay, we'll give you a place to stay, okay, we'll give you food, okay, we'll give you this, you play a song here, and we give you an interview. And things are happening slowly, but that's so exciting, because again, it's just like money. You need money for many things in life, but for some things not.
Mm-hmm.
I have a group of friends from France. They're really good alpinists. They're like super level alpinists. Those guys are the best in the world, like really top guys. And um and i i, I was dreaming for a long time to climb some mountains in the Alps. But normally, to do it, either you got like a very good partner which you can climb with and you get along together, or you have to pay somebody to go with you, normally what's called the mountain guide.
Yeah.
And that can become expensive, like getting a mountain guide to go with you and all that. I mean, I could not afford that. But anyway, we started talking, and I knew that, especially this guy was really into waves, and I knew, I could see he was really excited with waves. We started talking, and it was like, okay, you know what, if you want to surf big waves, I'll put you in the biggest waves of your life, and I want to climb these mountains, will you go with me? And a beautiful friendship came out of this, and there's no money involved. He comes here, he stays in my house, I go to his mountains, and I stay in his place. We became really good friends. I do climb the mountains that I wanted to climb, and the summits I wanna reach. He has surfed the biggest waves of his life. I've towed him to his biggest waves he has ever seen and surfed. And we want to go even further than that. I mean, next time he wants to surf even bigger than last time. I was like, okay, whatever, I'll tell
If you
you.
want,
But
Amen.
okay, if you want. But I mean, but we're friends, and I mean, we're really concerned with each other. And I'll let him know. I mean, once we are in the mountain, what he says, it's an order for me. I don't even discuss. I'll say, okay, okay. If he says this, okay, okay, I'll do it. No
I follow.
problem. I follow. I obey. No problem. And when it comes to the ocean, exactly the same. What I say, he respects what I say. So I mean, and we trust each other deeply, and that is very good, because I mean, it's an unlikely, I love this word, it's an unlikely friendship that came out of this. And again, if you really want something and love something, you will find a way. And that is paramount nowadays. And another thing that I discovered along, it's something that I normally say in my motivational talks. Sometimes I do some motivational talks for companies and businesses and schools and a lot of places. And I like to put it this way. Uh, it's you have two ways to be someone in life, to become someone in life. And one of them is like being the best, like become the best at whatever you do, like the best violin player, the best surfer, the best whatever. Just become the best. And that is very respectful, because if you're the best, everybody knows who you are, and you'll make a lot of money, and you'll make your living and all, and that's nice. But if you are the best at doing something, that means you will get the respect and the profits of that business, of that area you're into, and that is nice. But at the same time, I've learned that being the best has some issues, and one of them is like, it's very volatile, because I mean, being number one, it's something that doesn't last long. It's something that the champions don't last long on number one. I mean, even the best in the world, the best of the best of the best, I mean, they're there for a few moments, but then someone will come and take them away, and nobody knows anymore.
It's rather
Nobody
temporary,
remembers
I think.
anymore who that person was or who that team was. Or I mean, just ask anyone who was the last winner of the World Cup, the football World Cup. Nobody remembers.
Mm-hmm.
And if you ask who was number two, who lost in the final, that nobody will remember. And that says it all. Sometimes being the best, so volatile. You're there. It's amazing when you're up in the top, but then once you're down, it's over,
Mm-hmm.
like totally over. And another thing is that you don't just rely on yourself. Like, to be the best, you need somebody to say you're the best. Like some people, and you have to influence that, and you have to influence the backstage and all that stuff that happens behind the curtains, and that sometimes is not very nice. That's it is very competitive. Normally, it's a very competitive environment, and sometimes might not be very healthy to live in those conditions. I mean, some ugly things are done when things get too competitive, and that's probably not very healthy to have around you. And then another thing, which is, like, even if you're the best, it only means you're better than someone. It doesn't mean you're better than yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
just becoming better than your opponent. But if your opponent is not much of a person, that doesn't mean you will be much of a person yourself. And I like the idea of the personal challenge, like becoming a better person. I mean, that's why I quit school, and that sounds weird to say, but I quit school and to become a better person. Yeah, that sounds a little weird just listening to it. But that's what I did. The idea is not competition. That's what we have at university. Everybody's competing nowadays to produce as much research as they can, to produce as many contents as they can, and they get to ridiculous levels. People will do anything to keep their jobs, and even in universities have become like really wild places in terms of competition. And in the end, what the ridiculous it gets, it's like, you're a teacher, you're supposed to give examples and to behave in a certain way, but it's just wild sometimes. And you just, like, for yourself, you think for yourself, this is not nice. This is not. Yeah, I'm getting a paycheck for sure, I'm getting my salary, but I'm not becoming a better person at the end of the day. And
Mm-hmm.
even more with the kind of work that I'm doing, I'm not improving my personality on this. So, and then there's the other way, which is the one that I kind of like, uh, try to follow, which is being different. Just like fostering your way, and doing things your own way, and just being yourself. And that is not easy, because there's not an obvious way. There's not an obvious path, because when you want to be the best violin player in the world, you know the path. You know exactly what you have to do. You just have to be 10% better than the other guy, and I will do. And it's very obvious what you have to do. You have to be very analytical. You have to improve very, like, specific processes, and you have to be very efficient in that. So it's very obvious the way. But in my case, it's not obvious. How the hell do you make a living, like, playing the violin in big waves and mountains? It's not obvious. No, I mean, there is no professional careers on this one. Not something that you can follow and know which way to go. So that can bring some doubts and some questions,
Mm-hmm.
and some situations where you're kind of like, okay, not really know what to do on this one. But you know what? At the same time, I mean, it's being yourself. It's not being like, I mean, nobody's going to take your position. Nobody's going to come and steal that position from you, because it's your identity. You've become different. And then you can be creative. You can be yourself. And creativity, it's something we're lacking really much nowadays. The society is becoming more and more equal. I mean, let's take music, for example. Just turn on any radio station and you listen to the exact same song from day to night. It's always the same songs. It's what, there's no creativity. There's nothing different. It's always the same. And it's not only about music, it's anything you want. Everybody is doing the exact same things. I mean, social media, everybody likes the same people. That's why you got people with millions of followers, and you got other people that nobody knows who they are. And it's all the same. People are lacking a little bit of creativity. And I mean, that's what something I really enjoy in this project is I can do things my own way. I don't depend on others. I don't need others to say, hey, you're the best. I mean,
Right. Yeah.
not relevant. I mean, it's nice to have people saying, oh, that's an amazing project. It's nice to have that, but I'm not fighting to be the best.
No.
So I'm not fighting with anyone else. I'm just fighting with myself. And sometimes that can be hard.
And I was
But
gonna say you're challenging yourself like constantly.
yeah, exactly. But the goal, again, it's at the end of the day, just learn to become a better person, like little by little. It's not a perfect thing. It will never get to an end. It will be a lifetime challenge.
Mm-hmm.
but these little learnings, whether it's in really extreme places, whether it's putting my creativity into use into music, this is just like it does bring a lot of good things. And again, that's why I chose this as a lifestyle, as a life project.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I do believe these ideas, kind of like being the best or being different, being creative, and just go that way, because not everybody can be the best. Not everybody can be like, not. It's something that you need a lot of things like at the same time to get to that stage. And I I was doing a motivational talk one of these days for Mercedes, and that was really funny, because Mercedes, they have this logo that says the best or nothing. So they
Mm-hmm.
really stand for the best. I mean, it's the best cars, the most performance, and like that. And I
Right.
was telling this to them, and I was like, and they're like the CEO was like, yeah, no, but no, we do stand for being the best. And I was talking this, and like, you had to be different and like that. And he was like, we do stand for being the best. So I mean, I don't know how that idea can cope with our principles. And I was like, yeah, but you know what? Being the best is being different, because there's no one else like you. Being the best is still being different, because I mean, you're still being different from everyone else, because there's only one, which is the
Right.
best.
Yeah.
So in the end, it all goes there. And he was like, oh, okay, that's a good one. That's a good point.
That was a good change. I was about to say, you challenged the whole slogan pretty much.
Yeah, pretty much that. And that was funny. That was a good one. But yeah, that's it. It's just, I like the words unlikely, because everything it's unlikely. I mean, it's not likely that some guy's gonna play the violin on a big wave or make a living out of it, or just
Mm-hmm.
brings so many things out of it. But as I said, little by little, I was able to put everything that I've learned, everything that I know. And that is something that when I was at university, I just felt too close on the theory side. I just felt too trapped on the theory side. And I was
Yeah.
lacking a little bit more practicality in what I know and what I do. And with this project, everything that I have has to be put into place, and sometimes like really like extreme. And that is a challenge. I mean, even
Mm-hmm.
climbing that rock the other day was a big challenge. I was stressing a little bit. I mean,
Absolutely.
just approaching the rock, just climbing that rock. I mean, I had to put everything I have and I know. And me and my partner, we were on the jet ski, and it was like, don't go, man. You only jump when I say. And like, okay, let's do this like, on big waves. Yeah, when I shout, you jump. And he was like trying to like go around the waves and like that, and they'll go, and then just I jumped into the rock and kind of like would climb the rock. And even that, I was really like not stressed, but really like, okay, this is no kidding, just pay
Yes.
attention to what you do. And that was so exciting to do. I had like just nearby my house, I can do that was just amazing. And then helping all the other guys come into the rock and to start climbing it, I mean, just that was just like, yeah, got. And the guys, once they were on the rock, they're like, yeah, man, this was amazing, let's climb this thing. And everybody was just excited. And that makes it all sense, and makes the day. Just
Absolutely.
it makes your
Talking
day.
about challenging yourself, in addition to all your motivational talks, you also had a TED talk, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And talking about getting out of your comfort zone and stuff, it's a challenge, it's a journey. What about self-awareness? How did you become, or how did you increase your self-awareness throughout the process, which allowed you then to take on the next challenge and maybe become more aware of, focusing all your forces, being present in the here and now? What helped you there?
Well, that's an interesting question. um maybe two things I would say. One of them is spending time alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I did travel alone for many years, and the same way I'm getting my bicycle alone next Monday. I do think it's important to spend some time alone, so you can really be with yourself. And that sometimes can be a pain in the ass, because we are little idiots, and we have to acknowledge that. And okay, you were an idiot, so acknowledge that and accept that, and just be sorry, and life goes on. So now, spending times alone, I would say it's something important. And spending time alone away from your routine, things that you can easily find comfort, or things you can easily forget who you are, because you just get distracted with something else. I mean, being away with yourself, away from away from your comfort zone, let's put it, from your house, from
Mm-hmm.
you don't need to go too far or to do very radical things. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying everybody's got to go and climb big mountains to find themselves. Not That's not it. But but spending some time and getting a little bit away from that routine and that comfort of your house and your sofa, your bed, your TVs, your electricity, and all those things. And the second thing is, for me personally, getting like into situations that, I mean, I'm totally blown away and no way I can hide like the weaknesses. And because again, either I'm tired or exhausted or like with fear or anxious, and everything comes up, starts ringing. It's like, okay, there it goes, here it comes. I knew that this is what's happening. You've been behaving like a little idiot, so this is the reason why. So or sometimes you find strengths and you find like positive things, like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that, oh,
Mm-hmm.
that's amazing.
Right.
Never imagined I could have done that. I was shitting myself with that, sorry about the bad word, but I was like, whoa, that was amazing. And
I
then
bet. I mean, the
yeah, and then
nursery, for example, even the rock, that's no more
yeah,
thing
even
that's
even the rock, yeah, even the
massive.
rocky, I mean, yeah, I mean, when we got up there, it's like, whoa, you know what, this happened.
Right, yeah. If you stand
Yeah,
in front of it, it looks massive. Or once you're up there, you've got like the self-achievement and the proudness and stuff.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I guess also, surfing my high waves in Nasserie is also finding a bit of personal, like a sense of balance.
Hmm.
Also for yourself of, the familiar and also the unfamiliar, getting out of your comfort zone and then reflecting again.
Hmm.
I want to make the gap to the podcast name. It's called My Five Senses Experience. And what I
Hmm.
find so interesting is that you talk about exploring, and you always said it just makes sense. You said it makes sense to combine your passion, getting out of your comfort zone, pushing yourself even further. Let's talk about our senses then. What we see, hear, smell, touch, and what we taste. How do you experience your senses? I mean, playing the violin, obviously, the first thing you would think about is hearing. You hear
Yeah,
the playing. Surfing, I guess you need to, I don't know, observe the waves coming. You need to have a feeling for how the
the
water
feeling, yeah, for
reacts.
sure.
How do you experience your senses, and how did it like evolve during the process?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, that is true. All the senses come into place, even taste, because somewhat salt water taste has a flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, not only that, but sometimes I mean, I do travel to some places, and you always have tastes from those places. You go to some country, you get those flavors. For example, when I go climb, last time when we went climbing, I was climbing in the Alps with these friends I just spoke about. We're eating cheese and smoked meat along the way, and I still have that taste in my mouth, and
Oh,
I can like,
really?
okay, nice little cheese with a nice piece of bread and cheese up the mountain, still have that flavor in my mouth. So I mean, because maybe when things are emotional, when you really feel things, the senses will make a big part, because they will bring memories, and um, and those memories come from taste, whether it's salt water or some flavor from that place. Obviously, the vision, the hearing. Hearing is important. In mountains, one of the most important things is we don't talk. We walk and we climb quietly, so we listen to the mountain. So
Mm-hmm.
anytime a rock fall can happen, like a landslide can happen, an avalanche can happen, and if you're listening to it, you can like, okay, something is happening.
Right. So you can react.
Way before you're watching, you're seeing it. You're like,
Right.
okay, what's going on here? So like hearing is very important, not only because of the music, but also because being aware of what's happening around you. Obviously, feeling the place, like feeling the rock. This one is really hard. This is granite. This is limestone. This is whatever. And the feeling in your fingers, obviously, it is different. Um, and and yes, the idea of these senses, I have this idea, which you're probably gonna like. I do play in events, for example, play in weddings and things like that. And sometimes people, mostly in weddings, people will not put much attention to music. Yeah, they will want somebody to play or somebody to do DJing or stuff like that. But people are like, okay, somebody to play, that is nice. But sometimes these are details that people don't pay attention. And I normally say that if you have the right person playing the right music in the right time, years after the wedding, people will come to you and say, you know what, every time I listen to this song, I remind of you entering down the aisle in the church or just
Mm-hmm.
doing this or that. and the senses will bring memories,
Hmm.
will bring emotions, especially if it's in emotional moments, especially if it's something that you really love. It's something that brings all of you. And
Absolutely.
the same way I was just mentioning, when I was on the rock, on top of the rock playing, and all the rain came, I was like, whoa, look at this rain, little rainbows, and real drops of rain, like looking like diamonds around me. Or yesterday morning, I woke up really early in the morning, and we're in May now. And here in Portugal, the weather, it's a little bit, it's a mix of sunny with really heavy rain, like really ugly skies and
Hmm.
thunderstorms. It's just a,
I
and the
can't really
water,
decide if it's summer, spring, autumn.
yeah,
It's
you
like
don't
in
even know
between
if it's
everything.
spring or summer or
Exactly.
winter or whatever.
Exactly.
So kind of like, and yesterday we were surfing really early in the morning. The waves, the swell picked up a little bit. We went to get some waves, me and another friends, and the water was so magical. This color, this blue, I was like, whoa, what the heck is this? Like you had this, the lightnings, and you had the like the really ugly skies, and then little bits of sun going through those clouds. And the water was I thought I was like in some tropical paradise, like such a blue. And I was like, whoa, it's not the normal vision you have. But because the moment was so intense and so beautiful, I mean, I'm gonna remember that. Yes, today I was telling that to my friends, like, whoa, dude, that was amazing, the color of the water yesterday. So again, maybe to bring your senses, you need emotional things, like things that really touch you, and that can be beautiful places, wild places, beautiful music. And maybe the best way to bring your five senses is bring something emotional.
Hmm.
And um, and in the end of the day, that will make you a better person. Because there's a traditional saying in Portugal, quem não sente não é filho de boa gente, which kind of like roughly translates to, if you have no feelings, you don't come from a good family. You come from like bad people. I mean, you don't come from a good. You're not a good person, more or less.
Hmm.
That's because we have to feel things. If we're not feeling, we're just animals, or worse than animals. We're just like beasts that have no feelings, no nothing. And having feelings is not like watching a movie and crying. I'm not talking about just like feeling things. You don't need to cry. I mean, but just making sure that that moment stays in your head forever, because
Exactly. It's the
it was
how, not the
relevant.
what. It's not what you do. It's not that you listen to a specific song or anything. It's how you experience it. If it's
Exactly.
what you hear, what you see, and this is what you remember. As you said, you can still taste the cheese or you can still taste
Yeah.
the salt water or something. And that's
Yeah.
exactly what it's about.
Yeah.
The how, not the what.
Yeah, it is true. And the cold, and sometimes you go like, oh, I was shivering cold on that situation. Or there was a situation, I was in Ecuador climbing a big volcano. It's like the biggest, they say it's the biggest active volcano in the world. And when we got to the summit, that was a wild like climb. It was just raining, and it was raining. How do you call that? That ice rain. I don't know how you call it in
Oh, the
English.
Hegel?
Yeah, probably that. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
when it's raining, it's really like
Yeah.
looks like
Like
ice
icy,
drops.
sort of. Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's Hegel.
exactly.
Yeah.
That was violent, and it was hurting so much in my face. And even though I had the mask and all, but it was
You
hurting so
could still
much.
feel it.
And I could feel it so, and the wind, and can just like couldn't hold to anything. It was just a really tough moment. And I thought to myself, this is just going to be a waste of time. I'm not going to play the violin once I get there. And I was like, what the heck am I doing here? This is way too bad. And when I got to the summit, it was even worse, because there was the sulfur from the volcano. There was this huge cloud, and obviously I was exhausted. And this was 6,000 meter, and your lungs are quite exhausted. And then
For
this
sure.
cloud of sulfur comes into me. I was like, I was like, what? I couldn't breathe, and that was just. But that smell, that smell brings memories.
It's
It's an
funny that
awful
you say
smell.
it. It's
It's an
funny
awful
that you say
smell.
it because I went to a volcano in Guatemala and it's the same thing
Okay,
I can remember. Like I
okay.
remember how it felt in the lungs and I can also remember this like unpleasant smell, I say.
Exactly. But it brings memories, and it comes back, and you're back into that place and to that situation, and that brings those memories and makes you remember things that you would never remember in another way. And sometimes not as good situations, but other times very, very pleasant situations.
For sure.
And music makes that too. Music makes that. And me as a musician right now, that's one of the concerns I have, is when I'm playing, I like to pass down to the audience, to the public, emotions, and like not just music, not just playing music. And I have this discussion many times because I play the violin,
Hmm.
and I have a classical training, and I discussed this with a lot of friends from orchestras and from some more from the classical environments, and sometimes music, it's so closed on itself, they forget the main purpose of music, which is bringing feelings and bringing emotions. Sometimes the people are so concerned playing that part, playing that
Hmm.
paper, but they forget the final purpose. And even today, I was actually today I was listening to that. I was listening to this work from an English composer called Gustav Holst. It's called The Planets, and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful work, and it's one of my favorites. And he has the Mars, he has Jupiter, he has all the planets. And I was listening, and like I was listening to it, and that was powerful. There's this part in Jupiter that I, every time I listen to it, I get like chicken skin when I listen to it.
Oh,
It's just
really?
beautiful. Yeah, it's just this beautiful part. Minute 3, on the third minute, I think, third
Okay.
minute. Yeah,
But it's on Jupiter, right?
yeah,
You
Jupiter.
said
Yeah, from
okay.
Gustav Holst. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And there's this part, I'm just like, oh, this is beautiful. I love it, and it just makes me like, whoa. And that is the goal of music. And I was listening, and before that I was listening to a symphony
Hmm.
from Haydn. I think was Haydn. Interesting, also an English composer. But I was listening to the symphony as like, okay, this is boring, just go into something else.
Hmm.
and um, and you know what, when you play music with a meaning, which is the planets, it brings a lot of emotions.
Hmm.
And the symphony was just a symphony, like, no, that was it. That was just a symphony. And it's like, it lacked the message, it lacked emotions. So if somebody listens to this, and if it's a professional musician or a maestro, is going to say, you're an idiot, there's message in that symphony, and he's going to tell a lot of things and a lot of time. But the same one, but then I have this discussion sometimes, and everybody says Bach is the biggest composer of all times. And obviously I like Bach, but for me Vivaldi was way ahead of Bach, and I like Vivaldi very much. And the Four Seasons, for example, it's probably one of my favorites.
Oh, I love
I've
that.
listened, yeah, I've listened for that maybe like 10 million times, and until I die,
Great.
I'll listen 10 million times more, maybe. But there's a message, like the way it makes those instruments sound like animals, or the raindrops, or the whole message of the summer thunderstorm. I love it. There's a message into it. It's not just playing music for the sake of music. It's
You
just
can feel
playing
the
music.
energy. You can feel the passion in his life.
Yeah, exactly,
That's
exactly,
something with you.
exactly.
Now, coming
And
back to you, talking about your own senses, what is your journey like? Not just from improving your surfing, of becoming more aware of your sense of touch or feeling, for example. Can you say that there's like a journey for yourself of how you become aware of your own senses?
yeah, yeah, there is. One of the things that I used to teach my students is being critical about everything in your life. Like, think about why you do that, or why you
Hmm.
listen to that, or why you eat that. And that is paramount to become a better person, being critical. And for example, here in Portugal, uh, we give a lot of attention to food. Like, sitting at the table, having dinner, having lunch. It's a
With a
very,
family or friends,
with
usually.
the family, it's a
Hmm.
very traditional thing. I mean, I remember when I was young, if I would go out at nights, regardless of the time I would go to bed, I would have to be up for lunch, regardless. And I mean, you could have the biggest hangover of your life, but you have
You
to be
have
up
to
for
sit on the
lunch,
table.
and you will sit on the table, even if you're not hungry, even if you're in the bed, if you're still sick, whatever. You sit on the table and
You
you
gotta
eat.
be there, right?
Yeah, you got to be there. It's like kind of like Sunday lunch. I mean, you go do what you have to do, but you're here too for Sunday lunch. And then, so I mean, we do pay a lot of attention to the preparation of the food, and that makes us critical about it. I mean, it's not easy to come to Portugal and say and tell anyone what's good fish or good meat or a good wine or a good olive oil. So, and that is amazing. You're critical with what you eat, but that's just one part of it. You got to be critical with all your senses, like what you eat, what you listen,
Hmm.
what you read on the news, and then what all that bullshit that we see nowadays. What do you smell? Is this air good or it's not good for my health? So, and what you're feeling like around you. So, I mean, you got to be critical. You got to
Right.
be like wise and thinking that, is this like nice or not? For example, I mean, the music I'm listening to, I tell this example loads of times. Okay, imagine you're listening to some song, some pop song, whatever. And most pop songs talk about love. I mean, so in some way they will approach the
Mm-hmm.
topic of love. And sometimes I ended up thinking for myself, many times you got like pop artists that sing those songs and they're very popular and everybody knows who they are, and they're very famous and they got loads of money and all that stuff. And they change boyfriend or girlfriend every 6 months. They got a new boyfriend or a new girlfriend. Well, you know, those typical wild lives we know. And and I ended up thinking for myself, okay, so this guy changes his girlfriend every 6 months. What the heck is he singing about love to me? What the hell does he know about love to be singing about that one? I
Right.
mean, I'm not buying that one. I'm sorry, but you know, it just doesn't come. I mean, the
That's
song
just
might,
marketing purpose or something.
yeah, I mean, the song might be very nice, very beautiful, very romantic, and blah blah blah. But it just, I mean, if I'm critical about it, I will not pay attention to somebody that is singing about the thing that he knows nothing about.
Mm-hmm. It's
That
interesting
is
that you
being
say that,
critical.
because I
Yeah.
think the first step to actually being critical is being aware. You know, you talked about a specific smell or what you hear, and I think exactly this is an issue most of the times, that we only become aware, for example, of a smell if it's really nice
Mm-hmm.
or if it's very unpleasing. Like if something stinks, you become aware of it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In your daily life, the smell only if you really, you know, have your favorite food or some fragrance or
Mm-hmm.
anything. So I think very often we actually aren't even aware of it. So it's
Yeah.
interesting that you say first, you know, just of course once you are aware, but then be critical. And I think this is also part of the journey, which is so important.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. So, you know, that critical part, because I mean, if you're critical about something, I mean, it's not easy for somebody to come and tell you some lie, or make take the best out of you and just like being make you make a fool out of you. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, if you are critical, you will think about it like wisely. I mean, and that will make you a better person. That will make you eat better, breathe better, listen better, and in the end, I mean, when I'm saying being critical, it's not being an asshole, not being an idiot. Just like watch that thing, be aware of that, think for yourself if it's reasonable or not, if it makes sense or not. I mean, some things might make sense for you and not for me, which is perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're different, we like different things, and like, I mean, not everybody likes the same, and let's hope not, because I mean, we need to be creative, we need to be different, otherwise we're just all the same.
Right.
And so it is fine to enjoy the different things and to value different things, but it is also fine to be critical about it, like not just eat whatever somebody puts in front of your eyes or your mouth or your ears or whatever. Just
Mm-hmm.
think about it, become critical. And that is something that I think we're lacking as a society. We're not being critical enough in some things, actually in many things. People are so busy with so many things, and we forget to be critical. Like one of these days, like for example, the people we follow on social media, why not being critical about it? I mean, why are we following that person in the first place? One of these days, I just thought for myself, okay, you got to go and clean up your. I mean, on Instagram page, the people that I follow, kind of like, okay, I got to clean this up. I mean, some things that I really, it's not interesting. I mean, it rose my awareness somewhere in time because I'm like, oh, okay, but then it gets to a moment like, not interested on this,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, okay, no more. And some people might be pissed off with that because you stop following them. It might be like, really, oh, okay, stop following me. But you know, it's just social media. It's not real life. It's just virtual thing. And if they're and if they get annoyed with that, I mean, it's their problem, not mine. So
Mm-hmm.
just be critical about it. Just like don't follow something just because, you know, like, okay, because what you choose to see, what the people you choose to have around you will define the kind of person you are.
Right.
So the social media that you have will also define the kind of person you are. And if you're following bullshit, I'm sorry to say that, you'll become bullshit too.
Mm-hmm.
And this critical thinking, I think it's paramount for the five senses, whether it's
Absolutely.
listening, eating, smelling, feeling, whatever.
I love
Yeah,
this. I have one last question though.
please.
What happens to all the instruments in both?
Yeah. Well,
I assume, you know, once
yeah.
you surf on the greatest waves,
Yeah.
It might not be in best condition afterwards.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I've used three violins for this, like really cheap violins,
Hmm.
and somebody criticized me once, like saying, "Hey, why are you destroying violins to do that? That is an outrage. You shouldn't be doing that," and blah blah blah. And that person irritated me so much, and I just told them, you know what? I'm giving this violin like a show of a lifetime. You get an excitement of a lifetime. This violin was condemned to die in someone's garage, standing in some shelf with nobody touching it, and I'm just giving him the thrill of a lifetime. And he's going to be known forever because he was surfing the biggest wave in the world.
Yeah, you
So
take the violin on an adventure.
yeah, that was just like I was a little annoyed with that comments. Yeah, I've used three violins for this. I mean, in the mountains, it is my violin that I always take, and
Oh wow.
I mean, yeah, there's cold and there's snow and all that stuff, but I mean, it is my violin and it is my concert violin, and not everything has to last forever. So I bring it with me, and I take most care of it. And I even think that the sound is becoming better because of it. So
There's the experience in it.
yeah, I
The
mean,
ups
yeah, I
and the
mean, yeah.
downs.
Well, that violin for sure has had some experiences. As for the water, for the ocean, I've been working with a company developing a carbon fiber violin specifically for the ocean, and it is a prototype, and it is being designed. And I'm actually now looking up for a partner that likes the idea, so we can make the violin.
Hmm.
And once I get that partnership, that sponsorship, I will do that violin, so I can bring it anytime with me onto the ocean and without any problem.
Right.
So yeah, so that's the idea.
Amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Nuno. It was
Thank you.
absolutely inspiring. I loved how you said also, giving some advices on how to get out of your comfort zone, exploring, experiencing, but at the same time also constantly sort of reconnecting, reflecting, and also being critical. Um, it's been great. As I said, I'm so excited. It's absolutely insane watching you serve and playing the violin. Whoever listens to this one, tune in. We're going to put it in the show notes and also on our Instagram.
Thank you.
You can't believe it until you actually see it.
I
And it's
know,
not
I
just
know.
any playing, it's like a proper playing.
Yeah.
And I think what you said in relation to the podcast, what is so essential is how you said, become aware of your senses, because this is what, you said the senses bring memories. And I think this is the perfect summary of all your experience of how you talked about the word unlikely and making memories. So thank you so, so much for being here,
Thank you.
Nuno, and
Thank you.
all the best for the upcoming bike trip and whatever is planned.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for this
so much.
opportunity. It was a pleasure talking to you, and congratulations on your page and the most success for it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. And see you next time.
Yes. Thank you.